see, are we live? Yes, we are live. Good morning. So I am super excited. I'm going to be talking about something that I absolutely love talking about. Let me move this purse here. Visually, it wasn't in alignment for me. So I am talking about something that I absolutely love talking about. It is a central piece for my life, the work that I get to do in the world, and I believe it is our supernatural toolbox. And so I'm going to get started this morning. You see in our title, it says From Dreamer to Visionary. And I titled it this because I think it's so important, especially around this time of the year, that we can get from the dream stage of, what we desire for our life and our business to actually becoming the visionary that is walking that thing out. Things that we desire that we have not moved into the vision stage in our life, we haven't moved it from a dream to a vision, often get lost in the sea of confusion of our mind and all of the other things that we're seeing on a daily basis. We're actually thinking, I think studies say 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And so when things are still in the dream stage, they are often lost with all of the other things, that you have going on in your head, or that you're faced with, or that you're watching online even. And I want to help this morning by sharing what vision means to me and 4 parts of the framework for really getting clear on a vision for your life and your business. This was maybe back in 2019. I was asked to keynote an event for an organization called Links. And the event was around overcoming adversity. And the audience that I was keynoting to were women who had gone through domestic violence. Now, one of the things I understood was the likelihood that I had gone through the realms that many of the women that I would be speaking to had gone through was low. I was in an unhealthy marriage. More of what I experienced was from an emotional level, which is just as prominent. There is no measuring, what a person went through, and then you put in a title on how you feel the impact of that thing was. But I knew that from a physical standpoint, there were probably women in the audience who had gone through, much more than I had. And so, of course, I wanted the message that I was sharing with them to be one that would transcend throughout the room. And as I'm sharing this story now, I remember, now the thing is, this wasn't, an audience of people who necessarily look homeless or distraught, or that wasn't the fullness of the audience, although there may have been, women in that particular circumstance who were listening. But many of these women, and I found this out after I did my keynote, because they would come over and introduce themselves, and many of them were in tears, and they would share, what their positions were, even in the county that I was delivering my keynote in. And just, the positions, the titles that they held were, almost jaw-dropping if you weren't careful in recognizing that particular situation doesn't have a name, a face, or any of that. Anyone could find themselves in an uncomfortable situation where things were very dysfunctional, whether it was emotionally, physically, all those things. And so Even as I'm sharing now, I remember some of the women were actually recognized and introduced throughout that particular program for work that they had done, or as I said before, different positions that they held. And so when they came up to me, many in tears, it just brought like another reality for me. But one of the things that because of me keynoting, I was also able to set up a vending table outside of me keynoting the event. They gave me an opportunity to vend. For those of you in business, a vending table, right? And so because I knew this, I'm like, okay, what do I put on my table for this particular event? I'm going to be speaking to women who possibly, have lost hope. They may just kind of be going through the motions. I'm, going back to, things within my own life. They may have said, okay, it is what it is, and they aren't really trying to necessarily create a future bigger than their past. Many may still be in survival mode mentally, just trying to make it. What product do I bring to put on the table that would impact the lives of that particular target audience? And so ultimately I chose what was then called Slay Your Plans and Profit, which is now my Destiny by Design course, to be the product that I would offer for vending as well. And I chose that product because that particular product was the thing. You guys got to hear me. It was the thing that allowed me to transition after my own divorce, right? After the unhealthy environment I had been in. It was the thing that gave me a reality check to shift, back into position. Everything about that particular course was the thing that even gave me, hey Simone, darling, how are you? Even gave me the wherewithal to keep going. I can remember in particular when I was, my ex-husband and I were separated at this particular time. I believe we were separated. Yeah, we were separated. And I remember in my prayer time hearing God say, because he had given me this set of instructions, this whole time. I'm talking about our separation. We were separated 2 times before we finally divorced, but during those times, so if you can imagine, this is over a few years time frame, God kept downloading these different sets of instructions for me to do. Now later I would find out that many of the instructions that God was giving me was for me. It was for me, to recenter. And then finally, one day in my prayer time, I heard it so clearly. I have it written in my journal. I have a whole box of journals, and most of them are downloads and actually systems that, I've created. But I remember God saying, now I want you to get connected to your vision. And so vision has been my supernatural toolbox for moving forward. And I know I've talked about vision quite often to many of you who may come on, even especially if you've worked with me. And vision continues to expand and expound as I grow, if that makes sense. If you're on with me this morning, do me a favor and share this broadcast out. I'm 100% certain that someone on your timeline, someone in the social media space, their life will be impacted by this. And so I was talking about how, God, the download was really clear. Get connected to your vision. And I understand why. Today, I understand why that specific instruction was important to me in that particular season. Because oftentimes when we are, going through life and, going through the motions of things, even not necessarily terrible things, but just life itself, we often get off track, right? And so vision was the thing that recentered me. Vision is like a reality check. Y'all don't hear me. Your vision becomes your reality check. For each and every time you may pivot, and this often happens with many people, life happens and it takes them a while to even, recenter. But what happens when you have vision, you recenter quickly. It doesn't mean that you don't face adversity. It doesn't mean that times of uncertainty don't come, but your vision is a reality check. Y'all don't hear me. Your vision is also a unifier. So it unifies every step that's happened in the past, moving forward. It brings a sense of unification to everything that you're going through and a space of clarity. Your vision also informs your decisions. Now, how many of you, I'm going to raise my hand before I even say it, have been through a space in life where you look back and you be like, what was I thinking? Why did I go there? Why did I think that that move, that person, or that situation was even okay? But what happens when you have vision, it reminds you of where it is that you really desire to go. And so oftentimes I find, I'm going to walk you guys through, I have a 4-part framework to creating a vision. Now, I'm not going to walk you through like the whole thing because it would take days or, days upon days to do that. But I am going to interject some things that you can take with you. And for some of you, you will desire to go deeper on these concepts with me in a more private setting. That opportunity, that invitation is going to be open as well. If you've been following me, you know that I've opened my Destiny by Design course, as well as a 4-day live intensive called Plan to Profit. And most of us are looking for ways to be more productive, to get our goals done and all of those things. And they are important, right? But even if you have like productivity and you have all these plans that's not attached to vision, many people get lost. Many people experience burnout and all of those things. So I'm going to walk through and you'll be able to say, do I even have a clear vision for my life and my business? Is that what I really need in this season? Do I feel like I'm going in circles because I don't have these components like really mapped out for myself? And so another huge thing before I get into that framework is vision helps you to overcome indecisiveness. I don't think there's ever been a more prominent time of indecision and indecisiveness than what we see now. And we're being exposed to so many things. And it's that much easier to just get off the beaten path that you are supposed to be on. Like as an individual, this is why we see so many people whose message sounds the same. So many people whose photos look the same. I was watching a video yesterday that talked about the downfall of the gram. And, how people were not as into it as they were before, because it seemed to be becoming this place that needed to be picturesque and perfection, and people weren't feeling worthy to even post over there. And I said to myself, I'm so grateful for vision. I'm so grateful for vision because whenever we're following the ways of the world, which often has a lot of trends and they have this scale that they're measuring your worth and your. Whenever we're following those things, we normally lose our own identity. And identity is one of the spaces that I work heavily with my clients on in some manner, right? So even when we're accessing their superpower, when we're determining what their 3D essence is to build their 3D brand, when they're creating their courses, a lot of it is centered around identity. And I know that this work that I'm doing is even more prominent in the season that we are in now, because there are so many people who are having mistaken identity. So many people who are uncertain about, who they are. And so this process that I walk my clients through is a four-part framework. And I like to call it, you all for practical purposes can call it levels of vision, but I'm going to call it dimensions. And I'm going to talk specifically about 3 levels. If you all have followed me, you know I operate in threes, right? I operate in 3D mostly. But I want to talk about the 3 dimensions of this framework. And then the 4th one is going to bring everything full circle. So this first dimension of creating your vision is what I call the genesis. Y'all don't hear me. It's the beginning of creating your vision. And this is what is in that particular part of your vision, because we hear, you know, you need a vision for your business. You need we hear the word vision all the time, but I wanted to bring a new level of clarity. This is the work that I am focused on for this particular year, taking things more in depth, not creating a whole bunch of other things, because the work that God has given me, the downloads that God has given me, I could just keep going deeper and never really create anything else that's not created from the foundational things, the vision that He's already given me. And so this year, I'm going deeper, you know, into those processes. And so I have an academy where the course that I invited you into, which is a 4-week course, Design Your Destiny, is actually located, that I wanted to add some more parts to, not because the foundational aspect of what was already there wasn't, you know, very valuable, but because I've evolved. And because I've evolved, that means the people that I'm attracting, the people that are coming into my space, the people who have worked with me before are evolving as well. And I just wanted to add more value. And what made me decide to do the 4-day live intensive was, I said, well, if I'm going to add more, I'll invite people in to actually experience the training, other than me just recording the information, you know, just actually giving people an opportunity to walk through it. So number 1 part of a vision, this is the 4-part framework that I created and I walk my clients through. We're going to call it the first dimension. This is where the soul of what you desire exists. So this is the space where you are determining, you know, how you want it to feel. And when I say it, understand there's several different parts of your life that need a vision. For those of you who are looking to get married, I was married for 14 years. I've been divorced now for 3 going on 4 years. And even your marriage needs a vision. And so many people say, well, I'm looking for love, or, you know, I want to be married. What is your marriage going to feel like? Right? What's it going to look like? Where will that union take you? And so this is, and I'm just giving you guys an example for those of you who are entrepreneurs. When you're thinking about a vision for your business and your life, so many entrepreneurs begin the business without a vision. And it will work for a season. But eventually what happens is they get caught up in the realm of, you know, choosing to do this and choosing to do that because there's no solid vision. Remember I said your vision is your unifier. So it unifies your values, you know, things in your life. It brings unification to that. So the first part of the framework I walk my clients through, let's call that dimension 1, is the soul of their vision. How is it going to feel? It's the inner makeup of their vision, right? And it's kind of like, if you want to think from a business standpoint, and you're thinking about the culture of your business, and you're wondering why I have all this stuff going on, but something feels off. Most people have not predetermined how a thing is going to feel. Even if my mom's a general contractor, so even if she's going to build a house for a client, or working on a commercial building or something for a client, the vision is the first thing. But what most people do is they go ahead and start doing, you know, little detailed things. But if we're thinking about a home, what's the feeling of the home? What do you want your guests to feel when they come in your home? All of those things are important, and it's inclusive in this Genesis part of creating a vision for your life and your business. The second part, framework of creating a vision, we're going to call it Dimension 2, right? This is the structure. This is the structure of your vision. Now, the parts that I name, it's likely that you begin to work on one or the other. For some of you, that's not the case at all. You've been actually following suit to tradition or to what you thought your life was supposed to look like without tapping into the spirit of your vision, the soul, the center core part of creating a vision. So the structure of your vision, this will be like the menu, like the navigational system for your vision. It begins to detail things out that your vision is going to look like, how it's going to operate, things of that nature. If this is making sense, somebody put yes in the comments. If this is making sense. Someone put yes in the comments. Let me see if I can, if this will allow me. I would love to share this out, but I don't think it allows me to do that. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to share this out from my phone. Let me know how this is registering to you so far. What is your takeaway as we move forward? This is registering. Beautiful. And I actually walk myself. I also prep the kingdom correlation. Oh, you peeped the kingdom correlation? Okay. Listen. So I did a lot of preparing for this training on this morning because, this is so huge. This is like the missing link for most people, and they're unaware because they're just kind of going through the motions. And sometimes we have a blueprint that's not our own natural blueprint. It didn't really come from within. It's something we've been following. It's something we've heard, maybe someone else say or share. And I get it. We get inspiration. But this is why I talk about building business from the inside out, because when you are in the process of creating and developing a vision, it's connected to you. So it flows differently. Your message is differently. The people that you serve are receiving your business, your products, all those things differently because it's coming from within. It's not a cookie cutter thing that you gained from someone else. I knew that this year required a new level of intention and focus for me for what God was wanting me to do, for the download that I got for this particular year. I even shifted where I would be delivering my content for intentional reasons. And this is what vision does. Whenever you guys know I'm just coming off of my Productive Rest Month. Whenever you reconnect, and most people won't take the time to go this deep. Most people won't take the time to really connect. It's just kind of like survival mode. And so the spirit behind what they're doing, the energy and the life force that they actually need isn't there because everything is coming from an external place and not an internal place. Everything is coming from an external place, not an internal place. So we're on Dimension 2. This is where you're creating the structure of your business. This is where you find the flow, like of your design, where we're kind of like brain dumping the thing out and organizing it. This is where your vision begins to have organization. How many of you have ever felt like I have all these ideas, tons of ideas, that's kind of like in the dream stage, but I don't know what to do with them. They just keep coming and I just don't know what to do with them. So this second dimension of creating your vision is when you are structuring the vision, when you are organizing it so that it makes sense, not only so that it makes sense for those of you who are in business to the people that you're wanting to serve, but so that it makes sense for who you are, for your life space, right? I talked talked to you all before about the circle of alignment. This is where my clients walk through these 6 elements of life. Those areas need a vision. This is the work we do in Destiny by Design. That's why it's not a day-long course. It's a 30-day course because it's detailed. And if you're in a space where you feel like you don't have time, or you're unwilling to take the time to do this deeper work, eventually you will come back to a point where you're feeling like there's something that I need. This is why I do this more than one time per year, especially in the season that we're in now, because we're inundated with so much other stuff. And sometimes that stuff has nothing to do with our own unique 3D essence, our own unique values, right? Our own unique vision. So some of you have created a vision, and this will be a refinement of the vision that you currently have. So we said dimension 2 is where you're creating structure for the vision. So listen, if I don't know if anybody else is more interested in feminine energy in this season than I am, right? So I love the Genesis stage where you're actually visualizing, you're feeling it, you're getting into the flow and the energy of it. I love that particular stage of creating a vision, right? Most of us do, especially if you're a big dreamer, especially if you get downloads and things like that all the time. We love that particular stage, but many people never move out of it. They're always visioning. They're always planning or saying they're going to do this, and it never comes into fruition, because there are steps to creating and walking out and manifesting the vision. So dimension 2 of the vision is the structure. Now, I don't want you to think that because you're creating these structures for your vision that it has to be rigid, or there's no room for your creativity, or you got to write down what time you're going to eat breakfast and you be finished at 8:12 every day. No, that's not what the dimension 2, the structure dimension, is for. It's so that there can be some containers around all of the dreams, the goals, and the visions that you're having for your business and your life. So that second stage, and remember, it's not rigid, but everything needs structure. Everything. Like if there was no structure around the water systems and the bodies of water that we have, it would just be water all over the place. If the sun and the moon had no system, no time, no framework for when it came up, I mean, photosynthesis, the ecosystem, all the systems that depend on the natural rotation of the sun and the moon would be chaos. There would be chaos. And this is what it looks like to, number one, not have a vision and creating a business, or wanting to do life, even relationships. If you are connecting with people who don't want to sit down and talk about where are we headed, one of the things that happens when you create a vision for your business and your life, you begin to identify purpose. So many people I want to find my purpose. I want to begin creating a vision for your life and your business. Purpose is often uncovered in the vision. Purpose is often uncovered in the vision. The third aspect, or the third dimension, is shape and form. Now, in this phase of vision creation, this is when your vision begins to take form, right? It begins to actualize in the 3D realm, in the natural, right? So it also tells you who you need to become in order for this thing to manifest. It tells you who you need with you to fulfill the vision. I tell my daughter, and I've been telling her this for quite some time, before she even started dating. I said, if you seek a vision, if you seek clarity on a vision for your life, the people that you need, even the guy that you want to date or marry, you will find him along the way. Oftentimes, we find the wrong partners friendships, relationships, intimacy, whatever the case may be, when we're uncertain about our vision. Because vision discloses who's supposed to come with you. Now, this could be in your business. When you don't have a vision for your business and you just open, it really doesn't matter who comes with you. You just want somebody to fill the position. Now, how many times have we done that as leaders and business owners, and we've connected with people and they have no real connection to anything that we're doing, except on paper, maybe it said they had these qualifications. But see, vision gets a lot deeper. People don't want to go deeper. They don't want to take the time. But you'll run in circles. I'm here to tell you. You just run in circles without it. Remember, I was sharing with you all that I keynoted an event, and it was for women who had experienced domestic violence. And I had a vending table, and I was like, what do I put on the table as a business coach and a life coach that would be beneficial to women who may have lost hope or uncertain about where they are? And I chose this particular program because it helps you to see, after you've been in the space, after you've been in the matrix, right, of a thing, it helps you to regain a new level of clarity. And so Dimension 3 is, I call it substance. This is where you gain substance for the vision, where it's, it not only does it, you get the structure in the other one, but it begins to take like shape and form, right? This is a place where you find models and examples of what you need. This is the implementation stage. Now, I was sharing with you before, a lot of people are in that Genesis stage and they never get to implementation. And I'm going to talk about that in this fourth space that I walk my clients through. Remember, in this particular space or dimension number 3, we're creating the substance, the implementation. This is when it's coming to light, right? It's coming into fruition, where it begins to emerge into the marketplace, if it's for your vision, or people around you begin to see and experience it differently. This is when you're putting action to those things that you've created. And this fourth dimension, or fourth part of creating vision, is the first part is super important that I think most people miss. This is the soul of what it is that you're doing. Sometimes we do things and not think about how do we want to feel in the process. How does it feel? But this fourth part is super important. And we're going to call this the completion stage, right? This is when everything comes full circle. This is actually when you tap back into Dimension 1 and you begin redefining the vision. See, most people just keep going and they don't take the time to check back in to say, okay, wait a minute. Am I off track with where I said I was going to be? Like, am I even really connected to why I said I was doing this? So this fourth stage is where you're really analyzing and you're perfecting, you're redefining, and also redesigning if you need to. This is where many shifts happen. So there may be a shift or occurrence that happened in your life, and for a moment you're just caught in the matrix. You're caught in the emotions of the thing. Maybe you're caught in the emotions of the internet and all the stuff that's going on. This fourth stage is where you're redefining it. This is also a stage where you regain your power. This is also the stage where you regain your personal power for your pursuit. You're going back and you're looking at all of the activities and things that you've been doing, and it's like, am I doing the thing? Do I even have a vision? And see, most people toggle in stage 2 or 3. They don't know that they're in stage 2 or 3 because, number one, they don't really have a vision. That Genesis part hasn't been formed or created. And or number 2, they never check back in. They never check back in with it. And so I wrote down some precautionary things that happen for each dimension of a vision. And you may have heard, like, I'm at this stage or that stage. Many of you are saying, I need direction on creating a proper vision for my life and my business. If that's you, join us for Destiny by Design. It is a 4-week program where I walk you deeper into the frameworks and show you how to create a vision for your life, what it looks like at each phase. And in addition to that, you get the bonus Plan to Profit. This is some of the execution part live that I've decided to do. That's coming up in a few days. You can actually start the Destiny by Design course today. Like, you can get off of here and begin working on that. You'll get the live 4-day bonus training as well. Those are going to be 4 consecutive days in a row. But you can begin the Destiny by Design if this is resonating with you. We're at the beginning of 2023, and if you can't take the time, if you don't have the time to create a vision one, or check back in, go full circle to say, have I gotten off track? Am I on course? Right? Here's some precautionary things that happen at each stage of creating the vision. Dimension 1 is identity. Right? This is where identity is. It's the heart of your vision. A lot of the care, the core of your vision, the center of your vision, the spirituality of your vision is created in Dimension 1. So without that, you kind of just find yourself just going through the motion. Anybody ever been there? Like, I can remember in my brick and mortar business, there was a stage in that process where I was just going through the motion. And it's because I was evolving internally, but my implementation wasn't in alignment with the evolution, with, the new learning and things so what I was doing in my previous business, I was just like going through the motion. It was just routine. And this is one of the precautionary things that happens oftentimes for those of you who have a dream, or you are a visionary and you're wanting to walk that thing out. The second dimension, here's some precautionary things that happen. People get too detailed. Now, it's important, remember that's the structure stage, that you are detailed, right? But people will get so caught up in the details that they can't move. I remember working with a client, and this was early when I was bringing my business online, and we were creating a logo for her business, and she was so caught. She had all the things. It kept being this other thing that she felt like she needed before she could launch, and all of the things that she continued to say she needed were external. They were external things. They weren't internal things, and that's why she couldn't move forward, because there's tons of external things. You will always feel like you need something else. You will always feel like you need a new photo shoot, a new hairstyle, to lose 10 pounds. You will always feel like you need something if you're building from external aspects, right? And so some people get stuck in being too detailed. It's like that, wanting it to be perfect. But remember, the second stage is just to give you some structure, a strong foundation. They get so caught up in this stage that they're unflexible. And your vision requires you to have a measure of flexibility, because it's this living, breathing, evolving thing. Right? So that's something that, a precautionary thing that often happens in the second stage of developing the vision. Now, Dimension 3, quite a few things happen. This is where many people get caught in the matrix, because this is when you're actually doing the work, right? This is when everybody starts looking alike, everybody starts sounding alike. You're just so busy doing the thing that you forget the thing, right? Businesses often lose their way because they forget or are unaware of the purpose of why they started. This is why when I'm working with my clients, we create a vision. If my clients have worked with me for any extended amount of time, we create a vision. Where do you want to go? And most people are only looking for something they can play with now. And that becomes a chase instead of a flow. instead of a space of evolution. Right? This is something else that happens. So their emotions or the difficulty of a thing, the disappointments that they have cause them to stop. This is without a vision. Now, after my divorce, many of us, I mean, what I went through is probably nothing compared to what many people have gone through, right? I don't doubt what people have made it out of. And we can get to a space where we made it out. I don't know if it's maybe you can pay your bills now, or you're making money, or whatever the thing is. But my mission for creating this, a way for people to really tap in to their vision, is so that they can live more fulfilled, more meaningful lives as they're actualizing their desires. Because we can just do the thing. How many of you know we can just do the thing? But the fulfillment, isn't always there. So maybe, we go through something and we say, whew, I got my head above water. I'm back on track. But back on track with what? Is it being in the matrix? Just working for... Remember, the genesis of the business creates the soul of it, the spiritual aspect of your life. That's where fulfillment really is. That's where you can get to a space where you're earning the great revenue, but your life feels so fulfilled. And that becomes the goal. It's almost like accessing a level of peace that you never knew you needed. And this is why some people find when they do get to these higher income levels, they still feel the same. Because it wasn't connected to a vision. Remember, vision often reveals purpose. And so whenever we may come out of something, because the difficulty is still like lodged in somewhere in our soul, we don't feel as fulfilled. These are precautionary things that happen in different phases. Phase 4. Remember phase 4, this is where you nurture. You go back and you nurture the vision. For those of you who may have a vision, does your vision need nurturing? Is this a time for you to redefine your vision, to connect back into it from a completely different perspective, because you've grown, you've evolved? If so, the time for you to do that is presented now. Like, you have an opportunity to join us for this 4-week opportunity. For those of you who just need execution, you can just join the 4-day event, which is Plan to Profit. I'll put all of those links in the comments for you. But this is a space to make sure your structure is sound. And what happens with many people, they continue building something without assuring that the structure is sound. It's like building a house on sand. Like, you're building all this stuff, but is it sound? Is it really connected to why you're doing this thing? And so, to move from the dream stage to becoming a visionary is creating a solid vision. And you guys know I've always believed that women should earn a lot of money, because I believe money in the hands of women changes the world. Women whose heart is in alignment with a vision has the power to change the world. But there's a space in your vision where the purpose begins to trump the chase for the money, and the pursuit brings the money in. Like, what you're doing for the vision connects the people and brings the money in, instead of it feeling like a chase. I hope this is making sense to you all. Does anyone have questions? I mean, again, there's no way I could walk through this framework in a way where you get the fullness of it in just a regular time we share. But I wanted to bring a level of clarity, especially about the work that I do. Many of you may just hear vision and think, oh, we just gonna write some stuff on paper and I'm gonna run with it, right? But the vision is the soundboard. It's the genesis of everything. Your brand, your life. You know, you need one for your marriage, your relationships. There's a synergy that happens when you are aligned with vision. Even the people that you meet, the clients that you serve, the relationships that you're willing to enter into, there's a synergy that says yes. There's a knowing, because vision is created from the spirit. It's created from the soul. It's an internal makeup before you ever get to the external part. And many people go and create the external stuff, the stuff they can do first, as opposed to who they'll be and, you know, what does this look like and feel like to me? Even for those of us, for me, you know, marriage is a desire for me again. And it's so different this time around, right? Because I understand on a different level, having gone through marriage, the importance of vision. It was something that I spoke about in my previous marriage, but that wasn't in the mind of my partner. It wasn't important, right? But as I'm dating now, I can't even begin to explain. When you find someone who also has vision and your visions align, there's something that transpires from a cellular level that gives you energy, that gives you drive, that brings new information, new insight. You feel like you're living. So, vision is it's huge for me. My purpose for teaching or talking about vision is to offer people an opportunity to build from a place of fulfillment and not just doing, like beyond the surface level, where there's a connectivity. Like, I don't know how many of you ever experienced this. I feel it now, right? Where you feel something from a cellular level and you could just feel it, you know, flowing through your body. You're in tune, you're tapped in, you're in touch. You're not just going through the motions. If that's you, if that's your heart's desire, if you want to create from a different space, not from outside of you, but from your core essence and your 3D essence, right? If you're building a brand, you want to build a 3D brand that's inclusive of not just these steps that someone said I should take next, but something that's in alignment with who you are. I'm watching one of my clients, and I remember it's been about 5 years ago. So this work is so heartfelt for me, but it's been about 5 years ago we did a particular exercise that revealed the nature of her heart. And she took that exercise, well, they all did, everybody that was in that training. She took that exercise and it created an opportunity for her. She connected with, once she got connected, she connected with an organization that she started doing pro bono. They created a position for her. These are things that happen when you're tapped into vision. They created a paid position, let me put it that way. Right? Because when you're tapped in and tuned in, the provision comes. Because the connectivity at that space is different. You're operating from a cellular level. You're actually a spirit being. And when you get tuned in and tapped in with that, I was going to see, could someone scribe for me and put maybe it'll let me do it here. Put the link in the comments. It's renewfullcircle.com/DYD. renewfullcircle.com/DYD. I think it's letting me put it in the comments here. And that link is going to allow you, let me just change this here. To access the Destiny by Design course. It also gives you the bonus 4-day Plan to Profit class, so that's included with that. It gives you the opportunity, if you just want to take the Plan to Profit class, it gives you the opportunity to sign up for that as well. But for those of you who are willing to take the time to go deeper this year, right? To not just do things from a surface level, to really honor yourself and honor the work that you're doing in the world, regardless of the service or the products that you're offering. Vision allows you to operate completely different. So the transformation that your clients get, the people that you work with, is completely different when you're tuned in, when you're tapped in. When you've revealed the triggers, the things that continue to throw you off. That's one of the things we do throughout the Destiny Design program. And listen, everybody needs a refresher, right? Because we get off of the entire desire for God is for us to renew our minds, right? I believe there's a place of peace, love, joy, abundance, prosperity, all of those things that God originally intended us to operate from. And how many of you know that as because we live in the world, right? But as we operate in that world, it's so easy, right, to fall away from the renewing process. No matter how great you've done in your business, no matter where you feel you are, tapping back in, right, redefining, perfecting, the structure even. Maybe some structural things need to change. And taking the time to do that, slowing down will speed you up. Slowing down will speed you up. So many people are afraid to slow down. But your vision is your supernatural tool for next. It's your supernatural tool for next. There are many of you who are watching. This is resonating with you. This is your time to invest in something sound. And I say sound because it's so much that we can invest in the world space. There are opportunities every single day running down your timeline. Click on a shoe, click on a vacay. There's so many things that we can invest in. And they offer us instant gratification. But for many of you, what you need is long-term sustainability, something you can always connect back to. And this is that opportune time before you get into the full motion of what's going to transpire this year. Vision is the soundboard. It's the genesis for your goals, your dreams, your plans. And oftentimes we're still in the dream stages. Even if we're doing a lot of stuff, it's because we're in the dream stages. The vision simplifies it, right? Remember, it's your supernatural tool. So I invite you, for those of you that this is resonating with, you can begin today. When we end this broadcast, you can click on begin today while you're in the moment, while there's no outside external distraction to keep you from saying yes to honoring yourself at a different level, honoring the work that you do, and getting a new level of clarity. You can begin today, and then you can also, in addition, join us as a bonus for the 4-day live virtual, it is virtual, Plan to Profit, where you can create and define a greater structure for just this year, because the vision that I'm going to support you in creating is a vision for your life and your business. So it's not just something you can play with now. It's something you can tap back into and you can connect to when you've gotten off the path, when you've been listening to too much stuff run down your timeline and you forgot. when you've gone through a life circumstance and you forgot, when you connected to the wrong people or persons and you forgot. That's what vision is. It's something you can and should continue to tap back into. So that's my take for this morning. Does anyone have any questions before we end? I'm trying to see where I can even see comments because I'm on my business page, and so it has like a completely different setup where, you know, I gotta find stuff sometimes, and so I'm locating comments now. So if you come back on and you catch this on the replay, put hashtag replay. If this resonated with you, put hashtag Destiny by Design. Look, not by default. When we don't have vision, we're normally living our life by default. We're reacting to what's going on around us instead of creating it from a unique space, like what our values are and what we feel our unique assignment is and what we really desire, how we want it to feel. Not feel, right? But put hashtag renew if you come on often. And if this is for you and you made a definite decision, put I'm in the comments. I love this opportunity to support you. This work that I'm doing with Vision continues to evolve as I evolve. The importance of it continues to stand to the forefront of everything that I offer. You know, whether it's branding, working on your business, life strategies, business strategies. Vision is like the soundboard. Yeah, it's your supernatural tool because it's created, the genesis of it, the beginning of it is created. It's like the soul of whatever you're doing, right? So that's my take. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you found value and you find someone else who could use this message, you think this would hit home for them, or someone who you think may want to join us over this next month as they're moving more into the goals and dreams that they desire to actually manifest for 2023 and beyond, be sure to share this out. That's my take on this morning. I pray that it's been valuable for you. I pray that it's been the nudge that you needed. It's brought a level of awareness and clarity and kind of got you out of the matrix that's so easy to get trapped into. And even more so if it resonated with you, I pray that you bet on yourself. I pray that you chose you this morning. I pray that you trust what you're sensing and feeling about a next move for your life and business, and joining us for